back to my channel. I wanted to talk to you in a very informal way today about 12 authors that I am planning to revisit in 2020. One of the things about reading the way I do is that I can become so methodical about accomplishing certain reading goals that I forget about the authors that I just adore and want to revisit. And so I thought, to be more practical this year, I should definitely make a list of 12 authors that I want to make sure I read in 2020. Some of these authors I've already read multiple books of theirs, and some of them I've only read one and really want to explore as much more that I can. And I just wanted to run through them with you today very briefly. So Carol Drinkwater, I am going to continue on with the Olive Farm series. It is a wonderful, wonderful journey for me, and I talked about in my Paris TBR how much it means to me to be able to read books set in France because I love it so much. And so I'm going to be continuing on with the next book in the Olive Farm series. Rosman Pilcher is a comfort read for me, and so I'm going to pick out another one of her books and read that at some point this year when I just need a little bit of a break or a little respite from a certain genre or style. I'm just gonna jump into one of her books and enjoy myself, as I have with the other two books of hers that I've read. Emma Donoghue, I loved The Wonder so much when I read it this year, and so I'm going to be reading Frog Music from her this year, and I talked about that in my 5-star prediction video. And so I'm really excited to continue to read her because I know she writes in a really varying style, so I'm curious to see if I will like her other books as much as I liked The Wonder. Moshin Hamid, I really loved Exit West, and he has quite a few books in his backlog, and so I want to explore more of his work. Helene Dunmore, The Lie was one of my best books of 2019, and I definitely want to explore the rest of her backlog. She's also a poet, so I could potentially read some of her poetry as well this year. Sofi Oksanen, I've read The Purge. I just really enjoyed her perspective, her style, her way of looking at the world in her writing. And so I'm very curious to read some of her other work and see if they are as interesting and dynamic as The Purge was. Priya Parmar, I read Vanessa and Her Sisters from her, and I know she has a book that she wrote prior to that one, and so I'm interested to go back into her style. I just really enjoy the way she puts a story together. It's highly entertaining, and so I'm curious to read her previous book. Margaret Laurence wrote my favorite book of all time thus far, The Diviners. I want to continue on reading the other books that are set in the fictional town in Manitoba where The Diviners is set, and just be able to enjoy her perspective on the world again. Tahmima Anam wrote The Golden Age, a book that I really, really loved at the beginning of 2018. I just instantly fell in love with her writing style and the characterization that she does. And so this, The Golden Age was the first in a trilogy, and so I'd like to continue on and read the next 2 books in that series. Barbara Kingsolver, I've read Prodigal Summer and Animal Vegetable Miracle, both of which I really enjoyed. I feel kind of silly that I haven't read all of Barbara Kingsolver's work, and so I definitely want to delve into her other works and just go back into her style as well. Tracy Chevalier, I have read The Lady and the Unicorn, and I own Remarkable Creatures, and I have been feeling a huge calling to read The Girl with the Pearl Earring. So we will see which one wins out this year, but I wouldn't say The Lady and the Unicorn was something that I adored, but I do really enjoy the style of Tracy Chevalier. How she chooses her subject matter and how she conveys that, I think, is really interesting. And the 12th author is Siri Hustvedt, and I have a kind of weird relationship with Siri Hustvedt because I first fell in love with her personality when she was giving an author's talk about her book, The Blazing World. I then read her book, The Blazing World, and I did not love the book. There were parts of it that were exceptionally good to me, and there were parts of it that I did not connect with at all. And so I feel very torn about her work, but what I love about her is her personality and how intellectual she is. And I think because I am not as intellectual as she is, she challenges me, or there's something about the way she puts words together that I feel is so interesting, and I so admire it, but I don't necessarily connect with it as a reader all the time. So I'd like to read more of her fiction. I do have some of her nonfiction on my list as well. We'll see what I end up reading this year. But I just think that I need to explore more, and that maybe she's written books, some other of her fiction, that I will connect with more than I connected with The Blazing World. So those are my 12 authors for 2020. I have no idea what order I'll read them in or when I'll read the books, because, plans. But I will be back again to talk more about my 2020 plans in the later video. And thanks so much for watching. And let me know if you already have any idea about any authors that you are planning to read for 2020. I would be very curious to hear who they are. So yeah, talk to you again soon.